Welcome, folks. Sherman Wright, Black Success Magazine, the podcast. Coming to you live from Las Vegas, Nevada, the city that never sleeps. And I want to welcome you all to the show today, folks. As I said, I'm your host, Sherman Wright. And today on the show, we're going to talk a little bit about franchising. We come to you each and every day of the week, Monday through Friday, 8:30 to about 9ish or so, and we talk about pretty much anything and everything from entrepreneurship to self-help, motivation, trends, people, and it's all in an effort to give you some great stuff that is going to feed your mind, your body, and your spirit. And that's really what Black Success Magazine podcast is all about. We encourage you to go to our website, which is blacksuccessmagazine.com. Just got a new article up about Lynn James, and Lynn has a great story, just one of those powerful stories that you hear from time to time. Her story is one of those. When I first heard about her story, what I did is I said, my gosh, this story is powerful. I mean, it's just more than powerful. It is one of those stories that you have to share. And so when we got a hold of Lynn and said, hey Lynn, can we do your story? And she was very, very gracious about it. And it's up on blacksuccessmagazine.com. Go to the blog tab, and you can see a lot of the articles that are up there too. And if you'd like, you can go to our podcast tab on blacksuccessmagazine.com, and you can download any of the podcasts. We're on season 2, actually towards the end of season 2 right now. Can you believe that? End of season 2 already. And just been a pleasure to do it. And today we're going to talk about something that's probably going to, I think it's going to help a lot of people get through this pandemic. And we found out that there's systems in place that can actually help you as an entrepreneur get through the pandemic. And if we can help you out on that, that's great. So we appreciate you folks who are watching us on Facebook Live. And we thank you so much. You're watching us on our business page. You're watching us on Black Business Chamber, which is wonderful. And also you're watching us on YouTube, which is great. Let's get going with this thing here. So once again, we're talking about franchising and how franchising was able to help a couple of individuals get through it. And there's some key reasons why franchising has been able to help these folks out. So, love that. So the first reason why is accessing the collective brain work, the collective genius of an entire system. Being in a franchise system back in March 20th, and this was an article we got. Where did we get this article from? Where did we get this from? This was actually pretty cool. Entrepreneur Magazine. Being in a franchise system back in March of 2020, that's this year, it's earlier this year, felt like the worst case scenario, and many of us probably felt the same way. Not only did this person have their brand and clients to think of, but also the multiple locations and franchises to manage and support. The idea of pivoting just one aspect of the business to survive the closures seemed daunting. And I've got a couple of friends who are in franchises right now. One of my friends, his name is Chris, and the franchise system is very interesting. And for some of you who don't know what a franchise system is about, it's really where, let's say you have a business that you started and you were able to develop a system around that business. Let's take McDonald's. McDonald's is a hamburger chain. Well, it's actually more of a real estate chain, but what they've done is they were able to systematize all of the things and the aspects of their business. So, and then they put all of those systems together in a box, and they said, okay, I want to expand my business model, but I don't want to spend the money to do the same thing I just did. We're going to franchise this or sell the system that developed this, the original. It could be the branding, it could be the food, the colors, all the things that it takes to make that system work. And they put it in a box and they say, okay, who would like to have the same system and support system and all of the vendors and all that other stuff? And you go, yay, me. Okay, and then you sell that system for the next person to do the same thing. Now, there are a lot of things that go along with it, and we're kind of doing an overview, a high-level overview of it. But in a franchise system, what you end up having to do is you end up saying, okay, I agree to stay within this system because it works, and you've proven that it works, and I agree to pay you a certain residual amount each month to stay on with you guys. Okay, so for the use of your name, your brand, your system, and notoriety and all this other stuff. And it's a great system for a lot of people because guess what? You don't have to build your brand. In McDonald's case, what we're talking about right now, McDonald's has a track record and people love it. They know that if you go to a McDonald's in Des Moines, okay, it is going to be exactly the same thing as the one you get in Cuba, okay, or in Japan. Okay, it's well, maybe not Japan, but let's say Germany. Okay, that same hamburger, that same McNugget, and if you go to Jamaica, you might have sorrel instead of having Pepsi, but it's going to be, that hamburger is going to be exactly the same. Okay, so that's what a franchise really is all about. Is you are a part of a system, a family that that has gone before you, blazed a trail, and now you are able to share in the profits and all that other stuff. Well, there are some advantages going forward from a franchise that, in this case, has helped these business owners make it through the pandemic. And the first one was the collective genius of that franchise. They saw the collective brains all working together to solve the same problem. And in this case, it was COVID. What the heck do we do? Unfortunately, a lot of business owners are really just on their own. They're just kind of out there on their own, and they're kind of going, oh shoot, what the heck do I do? What works? What doesn't work? But within a franchise system, you might have tens of thousands of business owners who are all working together, plus the corporate head that's all looking together going, okay, let's solve this problem. In Shreveport, this particular thing, we solved this issue with vendors, and in this particular part of, Spain, we found out that particular vendor doesn't work, or this particular thing works, and you have a collective brain work of all these people working together to try to solve a problem, which is pretty darn cool. And without that collective brain, it would make it very tough. I mean, it makes it tough for one-off, a solo entrepreneur, to make things work. And that's really kind of what we do at the Black Business Chamber too. Is you got a lot of minds working together to help solve problems with business owners, and we hope that you find value in that. Number two, test outlets. Number two, test outlets for innovation. In a regular business, testing out innovative ideas or shifts in the business takes time. You have to trial and error and adjust on each idea. But having a franchise system allows you to try multiple solutions using each of the franchise locations. This is pretty interesting stuff. Because the nature of a franchise is multiple locations, okay, you got multiple locations all over the place, you can try one thing in this particular location. Let's say you're in California, and if it works, then guess what? You didn't have to try that in all these locations to make it work. But you found out through trial and error in one and adjusting in one of them that it worked. And that's pretty, because let's say you've got a one-off, you're a solo entrepreneur, and you've got a business, and you want to, it's easy for you to shift directions because you're a solo entrepreneur, but if you make a mistake, you're screwed. Because now people are building a liking to what you do, a familiarity of what you do, and all of a sudden you change the recipe on something, you just screwed the pooch. You really have. This is really, and that's kind of the drawback of having a solo entrepreneur model as opposed to having a franchise, which you have multiple locations, because you can try it in one location and then you call it a limited offer, right? That's what they call it. It's a limited offer. So, which means is you're trying out something to see if it works, okay? But you're only limiting that offer in New Mexico, okay, or in Bismarck, So you don't want to try it nationwide. You want to try it in one little corner. Let's say you're in Louisiana or something like that, and you're going to try. I bet you I can see it now. That what happened with the originally with the McDonald's. Let's stick with McDonald's for a while. That they had the McRib. I bet you that was a screw up. It was a screw up. They go, let's see if this thing works, and it did. They tried it in one location. It went like gangbusters, and now it's a seasonal thing that we all can't wait to get at. Okay, but you can test out You can test out in individual outlets, innovative steps or innovative changes throughout a franchise system that could help you adjust and maybe even get through a period where you're not making any money. So that's pretty cool stuff. Number 3, you have emotional support. Emotional support is probably one of the biggest things in a business that you go through. And I know when we had our restaurant that was probably, it went like this the whole time. One day you're feeling good, the next day you're feeling like crap because people aren't coming to the door. Excuse me. And that makes it tough. But within a franchise group, you actually have a lot of people. You could have thousands, tens of thousands of people who are part of that franchise system that are there for emotional support. Services, budget, marketing, all things we successfully figured out on a way to pivot when the lockdown began. But a big part of surviving COVID was the emotional support the entire team needed to get through the challenging closures and lockdowns. And that's the tough part too, is that when you have a family of people who are all doing the same thing, and they're all selling the same product, it makes it really tough to watch one of them go out of business. And when one of them goes out of business, you almost like you close ranks, and everybody kind of comes together and they say, you know what, we can make it through this. Just because that one guy went out of business doesn't mean that we're all going to go out of business. And we're going to close ranks, and we're going to support each other. If you need something, I've got it, and if you need something, he's got it, or she's got it. And you're able to get through those tough times, and that makes a difference. It really does. And folks, if you're just joining us now, this is Black Success Magazine, the podcast. I'm your host, Sherman Ray. I'm the editor-in-chief of Black Success Magazine, and do some things over at the Black Business Chamber of Commerce also, where we support business owners here in Las Vegas. If you like what you hear, and we really hope that you do, you're on YouTube, subscribe to our channel, Black Success Magazine podcast. If you're on Facebook, just go ahead and give us a little comment. And I won't be able to see it because we're kind of working off a different platform right now. For some of you, you might be able to see it. We're working off of StreamYard, and we're kind of testing it out, testing out a new thing. It's very hard to see if anybody's talking to us right now, but I can see when you're coming on, which is great. But I can't really see if you're saying anything. And but leave us a comment. We'll get back with you after the show, and we really appreciate that. Or you can send me an email at blacksuccessmagazine@gmail.com. It's blacksuccessmagazine@gmail.com, and we'd love to hear from you. So today we're talking about how franchising helped a business model get through the pandemic, and we're just right now towards where we've got a couple of different vaccines that look very promising. Pfizer came out with one just a couple of days ago, and it was over 90% successful. And then Moderna came out and said, "Hey, we got one too," and it's 94.5, almost 95%, successful. So right now we're looking pretty good. So pretty cool stuff. Let's go on. We've got a couple more tips that we're going to give you, or some more insights on what franchising did for this company, and we hope you're getting some of this. And we're running out of time because we're only on for about a half an hour or so. But the last one we went through was emotional support, and number 4 is assistance securing government funding. Securing government funding was critical to our survival. Critical, but so difficult to figure out the exact process. These kinds of challenges are where a franchise system shines. And also, this is where a Chamber of Commerce comes in. And our partners at U.S. Bank were just phenomenal. Our partners at the SBA, phenomenal in helping our business owners get PPP loans or EIDL loans, federal grants, and it's for people who want to access it, because that's really the most important part. In the franchise system, really, I think they're probably more in your face about it, and they're saying, "Hey, guess what? You want to keep that location? This is where you got to go." And they probably send out a thing to us. In the chamber, we're really more kind of looser about that, and we're really hoping business owners really get out there and push forward to do that. But I would say that is probably key, especially through the first part of the shutdown, where if you did not apply for those PPP loans or the EIDL federal grant program, that you were really looking at some hard times. 60% of American businesses out of business and may never go back. And in the black community, it's got to be higher. It's probably about 75% of black businesses gone out of business, and some of them will never come back. And we in Black Success Magazine, the Black Business Chamber, are just adamant about business owners getting in gear and going for it, because if not, you're gonna lose your business. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. I don't know how to sugarcoat it. I'm trying to be very nice about this, but if you don't get your stuff in gear, you're over, and that's all there is to it. You've got to be really proactive in trying to get things going, and trying out new things all the time. Number 5, support from large organizations. Being a franchise system comes with unique challenges and problems. Franchisee support, location variance, brand consistency, which means we often require specific solutions. Having large organizations dedicated to creating solutions and advocating at the federal level for franchise businesses specifically is an invaluable tool for facing the pressures of COVID. And so there is a thing called the International Franchise Association. Is one of those organizations that advocates for franchises so that they can find the best solutions to their problems. At the Black Business Chamber, we advocate all the time for our business owners, and this is probably one of the toughest parts. Is that well, we won't go into it right now, but that's kind of what the whole thing is about, is really having a larger umbrella organization that is fighting for you, and you know they're fighting for you each and every day, which is great. Let's do the last one, okay, because we're going to run out of time, and I don't want to run out of time here today. Once again, this is Sherman Ray, Black Success Magazine, the podcast. If you'd like to get a copy of this podcast, you can go on and just Google us. Google Black Success Magazine podcast. You can find us on Spotify, Anchor, .fm, Google Podcast. We're really all over the place. We've actually found this podcast in Australia, where they're listening to us, which is pretty cool. So I don't have I think I even have an Aussie accent at times when we're down there. So, we do our thing. But you can get this, if you want to just hear my voice, my dulcet tones, you can actually, and some people go, yeah, I'd rather hear you than see you, which is fine, as long as you're getting some benefit of it, from it. And you can get the podcast, download the podcast, take it with you, share it with all your friends, or you can just, go onto YouTube and go to Black Success Magazine, and you can actually see our daily podcast there. Number 6, access to specialized advice and collaboration. Franchising community really comes together virtually to support franchisors and franchisees alike. CodeWiz, which is one of the major companies that was in this particular article, had the opportunity to join free masterminds, roundtables, summits, workshops that provide the tools and strategies to overcome some of the toughest challenges. At the time when revenues were tumbling down and budgets being slashed, many of the leaders in the franchising community really stepped up by providing free services to the entire franchising community. Very cool stuff. We do the same thing. I'll tell you, we do the same thing within the Black Business Chamber, where we have literally weekly classes, summits, webinars, anything and everything we can do to help business owners get through this pandemic. And as I was reading this article, I was saying to myself, you know what, this has to be a group effort, because there's so many business owners that through this pandemic, through this entire year, have just seen their entire lives just crumble before them. And it's not their fault. That's the thing about it. It's not their fault. It was really an invisible enemy that nobody saw happening and nobody could really be prepared for. So there's no blame placed on any business owner who has gone through this stuff. That being said, it's really important that business owners take advantage of every opportunity out there. If there is a webinar, if there's a video, if there's anything out there that is out there to help you as a business owner make it through this, you need to take advantage of it. Okay, there's no time for sitting back and going, oh, this sucks, oh gosh, life sucks. Okay, we all understand that. It's kind of a given, right? It's a given that what we're going through right now sucks, okay? And it's not fair, it's not fun, but it is, you are able to make it through. The big guys right now are just cleaning up because there's so many business owners are dropping off like flies. But the vast majority of businesses in America are small businesses, okay? They are 5, 20, 100 people. They're not the big guys, okay? And so we are the bedrock of America. And if we don't do whatever we can to solve this problem of liquidity, okay, you need money, strategies, innovation, adjusting to the climate, then it's going to be a struggle. I mean, just a major struggle, and we can't have that. Okay? Well, I hope you enjoyed that today, folks. We're out of time. Yeah, we're definitely out of time. If you like what you hear, then I invite you back tomorrow, 8:30 to about 9 o'clock-ish or so, for Black Success Magazine, the podcast. Once again, if you want to just pick up the podcast, we'll actually have it up on our website, probably in about another hour or so. As a matter of fact, what we'll do is we'll post it below us on Facebook, and then you can actually go directly to the link and pick that up. We really encourage you to go to our website, blacksuccessmagazine.com, and check out our articles. We just put up a new article about Lynn James, and just a fascinating story that she had. It's really a triumph. It's a tragedy to triumph story. Just phenomenal. I really think it'll be an inspiration to everybody. I'll give you a sneak peek on this. Put it this way: she was a adoptee who had gone through major trials in her life to move to where she is now with a MBA and doing some phenomenal things in life. But you've got to read the story because there's so much more to this story. Anyways, this has been Sherman Ray, Black Success Magazine, the podcast. Thank you, folks, for being a part of the show, and we will see you again tomorrow, 8:30. Bye-bye. Folks, have a nice one. We will see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.